Hi guys, in this video I'll tell you about the Tughlaq dynasty. In the last video we completed the Khilji dynasty and we have earlier completed the slave dynasty. So this is a series on medieval Indian history. These are short notes on medieval Indian history. These are not slides, only short notes, and I will give you slides in a new series, but these are short notes for prelims and mains. So kindly, these are sort of boring notes, but these are very important from the point of perspective of view of prelims as well as mains. So kindly give importance to these short notes, and I will share with you the slides in further videos. But these short notes are more important than the slides. They are a bit boring, but they are more important than the slides because they are short notes, and the revision can be done very in a very brief manner as well as in a very fast manner. So now we should start with the Tughlaq dynasty. It ruled from 1320 to 1414, and it was the longest ruling dynasty of the medieval Indian history. That is the longest ruling dynasty of the medieval period, and medieval period before the Mughal Empire. That is so this and in all these dynasties, that is Slave, Khilji, Tughlaq, Sayyid, and Lodi. Um, Tughlaq, Sayyid, and Lodi, the Tughlaq dynasty ruled for the most number of years. That is the 90s. That is 94 years. As you can see here, it is 94 years. Here it is written 94 years. So now we will go on to the first ruler, that is Ghiyasuddin Tughlaq. He ruled from 1320 to 1325, that is 5 years. Then Muhammad bin Tughlaq, he ruled from 1325 to 51, that is 26 years. Then Firoz Shah Tughlaq, he ruled from 1351 to 88, that is 37 years. And after Firoz Shah Tughlaq, 1388 to 1414, 26 years, there were some weak rulers. So first we will go on to Ghiyasuddin Tughlaq, 1320 to 25, 5 years he ruled, and he killed the last ruler of Khilji dynasty, that is Khusrau Khan. That is Khusrau Khan in 1320, and he started his um, he became the emperor. So in 1320, Ghazi Malik ascended the throne, assuming the title Ghiyasuddin Tughlaq. Ghazi Malik was the governor of Dipalpur. He assumed the throne and was given the title Ghiyasuddin Tughlaq. Excuse me. So now, first, uh, he died in an accident. He died in an accident. His son succeeded him. So his title was Muhammad bin Tughlaq. So Ghiyasuddin Tughlaq focused mainly on irrigation work, and he developed the city of Tughlaqabad from 1325 to 51. He Ghiyasuddin Tughlaq focused on irrigation work, and his son developed the city of and he developed the city of Tughlaqabad. He could see the whole Delhi from there, and he fell down from the fort boundary and died. So as we know, it was a very what we can very very a very it was an incident, but it was a very curious incident, and it was a very different kind of incident that we can see here, that no one had imagined that type of incident will happen, that Ghiyasuddin Tughlaq, who had developed such a big city of Tughlaqabad, and Tughlaqabad fort, from where he could see the whole Delhi. He would fall down from the walls and die. And he had also done a lot of work for irrigation of the farmers. So he was succeeded by his son, that is Muhammad bin Tughlaq. As you can see here, Muhammad bin Tughlaq. So Muhammad bin Tughlaq ruled for almost 26 years, 1325 to 51. So 1325, Muhammad bin Tughlaq, he was the son of Ghiyasuddin Tughlaq and named Jana. He was son of Ghiyasuddin Tughlaq named Jana, came to the throne of Delhi. Tughlaq named Jana. He came to the throne of Delhi. He tried to introduce many administrative reforms. That is, he introduced five ambitious projects. The first one was 1320, in 1326. He introduced the taxation in Doab region, that is between Ganga Yamuna, Rang Ganga Gomti, and Ghagra Gandak Kosi Chambal Betwa and Son. All these were Doab regions: Ganga and Yamuna, Ram Ganga Gomti, Ghagra Gandak Kosi, Chambal Betwa and Son. In all these regions, Doab regions, he introduced the uh, taxation. So now the farmers had to, peasants had to pay a lot of tax in these regions. So this was the first of the five administrative reforms. He was the son of the Hasidim Tughlaq, and he was named Jonna, but he ascended the throne, so now he was known as Muhammad bin Tughlaq. Now the second ambitious project was in 1327. He transferred the capital from Delhi, and then in 1329 to Devgiri, that is Daulatabad, to capture central and south India and for safety reasons from north and northwest frontier. So this increased taxation in drought, the first ambitious project, that he introduced taxation in Doab, and he increased taxation in drought period. So this was a very big blow for the farmers of those Doab regions, because they had to pay increased taxation in drought conditions. Second one, he transferred the capital from Delhi to Devgiri, that is Daulatabad, to capture central and south India and for safety reasons from north and northwest frontier. So so after the transfer, every person, even if he was handicapped, was also shifted. Then again, due to same reason, to protect for his safety reasons, he again transferred the capital back to Delhi. So these were the reasons which worked against him, and no one liked these type of ambitious projects which he was carrying on in his empire. So the third mistake that he made was in 1329, that was introduction of token currency. He did demonetization, that is gold and silver coin. He changed the gold and silver coin to bronze coin for reducing the cost, but the bronze coin had no hologram on them, so people used to make them in home, and the currency was fake currency could be made. So due to this, he reintroduced silver and gold currency again, so cost was doubled in all these affairs. So he first banned the gold and silver coin, demonetized the gold and silver coin, and switched to bronze coins. And then again, people were making the which had no hologram, so people were able to make fake currency everywhere. So he again switched back to silver and gold currency and doubled the cost. The cost was doubled in all these affairs. The fourth one was proposed Khurasan Iraq expedition in 1329. That is, he gathered a huge army to attack Iraq, which he sent earlier 1 year and trained 1 year, which he sent 1 year earlier and trained 1 year. But one king who was with him died and did not support, so the troops returned back. So again, a lot of treasury and government money was money of the empire was wasted in this process, because he trained the army for 1 year, a huge army for 1 year, and then he sent the army 1 year before for their to Iraq, and the king who had to support him in Iraq to capture Iraq and uh, Khurasan died, so he had to again call back his army. So there was a lot of expenditure which was wasted. And then in the 1330, there was the Karachil expedition. Karachil is a region in China. After crossing the Himalayas in winter season, he sent the Karachil expedition to China in the winter season, and in during crossing of Himalayas, as it is a very cold territory, crossing of Himalayas and Tibetan region, and even Jammu Kashmir and Ladakh region, in winter season troops started dying. The military troops started dying, so he had to call back his troops again. So the troops returned after order. So again, a lot of money, government money, or money of the empire, and his treasury money was wasted in these processes. So he was called this ruler Muhammad bin Tughlaq was called an educated fool. As you can see here, now we are here, he was called an educated fool. As you can see here guys, he was called an educated fool. Now in 1326, as there was increase in taxation in Doab, Sultan created a new department, that is Muhammad bin Tughlaq created a new department for agriculture called Diwani Kohi, house tax, Ghari, pasture tax, Charahi. So, Sultan created a new department for agriculture. It was called Diwani Kohi, and they collected house tax that was called Ghari, that is derived from Ghar, and they also created the pasture tax, that is Charahi, that is derived from Charaha. So the increase in tax on Doab region, Ganga and Yamuna region. There was an increase in tax on Doab region in Ganga and Yamuna region. His five projects led to revolt. His last days were spent in checking the revolts. So all these ambitious projects which he had done, that is five ambitious projects, people were not happy with him, and it led to a big revolt. And his five projects led to revolt, and his last days were spent in checking the revolts. So although there were 30 revolts, there were 30 altogether, there were 30 revolts in 25 years. So the last days of his rule was spent in checking these revolts, and he died in Thatta while campaigning in Sindh against Taghi. The Taghi was a Turkish slave. He was campaigning against him in Sindh against Taghi, who was a Turkish slave, and he died in Thatta. So the next ruler came into the power, who was Firoz Shah Tughlaq. He ruled from 1351 to 1388, that is 37 years. He was the cousin of Muhammad bin Tughlaq. He was the cousin of Muhammad bin Tughlaq. After his death, the nobles and the after his death, the uh, after cousin of he was the cousin of Muhammad bin Tughlaq, and after Muhammad bin Tughlaq's death, the nobles of the court selected Firoz Shah Tughlaq as the next sultan. He was considered to be one of the great builders. He created 300 cities and towns. So the nobles had chosen the cousin of Muhammad bin Tughlaq, that is Firoz Shah Tughlaq, as the new ruler, and he had created almost 300 cities and towns. That is, first city was very famous city of Firoz Shah Kotla, as you can see here, Firoz Shah Kotla city in Delhi. Then second was Firoz Shah Kotla fort in Delhi, and now Firoz Shah Kotla fort is named after Arun Jaitley. It is Arun Jaitley fort. And now third one is Hisar city in Haryana. Then fourth one is Fatehabad city in Haryana. Fifth one is Firozabad in UP. Sixth one is Firozapur in UP, and seventh one is Jaunpur in UP. So all these are very famous cities, but he actually created 300 cities and towns. These are the seven famous ones. So Sultan established a hospital at Delhi and described it as Dar ul Shifa Charity Hospital. Dar ul Shifa Charity Hospital. It was a free hospital. Mm, anyone could avail health facilities and there at free of cost. So it was a charity hospital, and it was named Dar ul Shifa. And that is hospital at Delhi, which was established by Muhammad bin Tughlaq Sultan. So, and he also created a new department was created known as Diwani Khairat, to make provision for the marriage of poor girls. So he created a new department, that is Diwani Khairat, for to make provisions for the marriage of poor girls. Diwani Bangadan Employment Bureau was also created by him, and slave department, where 1,80,000 slaves were there, was also created by him. And Diwani Istikaka, old age pension department, was also created by him. So he created almost four departments, that is Diwani Khairat, to make provision for the marriage of poor girls, then Diwani Bangadan for employment of their people of the kingdom, then slave department for employment of slaves and buying and selling of slaves, which had almost 1,80,000 slaves, and then Diwani Istikaka, that is old age pension department. So these departments are very important, which have been created by Firoz Shah Tughlaq: Diwani Khairat, Diwani Bangadan, slave department, and Diwani Istikaka. I will repeat again: Diwani Khairat, which was for marriage of poor girls; Diwani Bangadan, employment bureau; then slave department, for selling and buying of slaves, and Diwani Istikaka for old age pension. The old age pension was given to the old age people in his kingdom. So it was first time introduced in the rule of Firoz Shah Tughlaq. He also established he also established five canals. The longest canal was Satluj to Hosi, that is Hosi is in Myanmar, Burma. So it was such a long canal that it went from Satluj to Hosi, that is Myanmar. Now also Indian government has not made such a long canal. So he took 10% irrigation tax. He took 10% irrigation tax was applied on the farmers which used these canals or which used the irrigation facilities provided by the empire. So a new system of taxation according to Quran was a new system of taxation according to Quran was established. There were four kinds of tax: jizya, zakat, kharaj, and khams. So there you have, these all are very important: jizya, zakat, kharaj, and khams. As you can see here, guys, jizya, zakat, kharaj, and khams. So these all are the four kinds of taxes which the people had to pay. Now we will look at the details of these taxes, but you will have to remember Diwani Khairat, which was the for marriage of poor girls, Diwani Bangadan for employment and slave department, and Diwani Istikaka for old age pension. And then we'll move on to jizya. That is a non-Muslim religious tax was introduced by him, which had to be paid by anyone who was a non-Muslim. So Brahmins also included in jizya. Brahmins were also included in jizya. Before that, Brahmins were not included anywhere in any taxation. So he introduced jizya, and it was a non-Muslim tax. It was a religious tax. Brahmins also included in jizya. Before that, Brahmins were not included, and all the people who were non-Muslims had to pay this tax. Zakat was a 2% tax on property. Kharaj, it was a land tax which was equal to 1/10 of the produce of the land. And khams, 1/5 of the booty captured during war. So, as you can see here, zakat was 2% tax on property. Anyone who owned a property in the empire had to pay a 2% tax to the empire or the sultan, which was Muhammad bin Tughlaq. No, sorry, Firoz Shah Tughlaq, and 2% tax on property. Then kharaj was land tax, which was equal to 1/10 of the produce of the land, and khams, which was the 1/5 of the booty captured during war. So earlier 1/5 of the booty go to the sultan, and 4/5 to the 4/5 to the soldiers. But during Alauddin Khilji it was opposite: 1/5 to the soldiers and 4/5 to the sultan. But in reign of, so Alauddin Khilji was a very rich sultan, because he the booty captured during his war, 4/5 he took, and only 1/5 was given to the soldiers. But during the reign of Tughlaq dynasty or Firoz Shah Tughlaq, 1/5 of the khams, that is booty captured during war, was given to the sultan, and 4/5 of the booty captured during war was given to the soldiers. So now, Muhammad bin Tughlaq's policy affected administration. So, Firoz, he checked the revolt and tried to please the nobles. He did first these things. Muhammad bin Tughlaq, people were not happy from him. In the last 25 years of his reign, he had faced almost 30 revolts. And now Firoz came to the power, and he checked the revolt and tried to please the nobles. He focused on those areas which could be easily administered from the center. He therefore made no attempt to reascend his authority over South India or Deccan Empire. Whenever nobles died, his son succeeded them, or if there was no son, then their son-in-law succeeded them, or if there was no son-in-law, then his slave in his position, including succeeded him. So it was a very good job security for, he provided a very good job security for the nobles, that whenever if noble died, his son would succeed him. If his son was not there, his son-in-law will succeed him. If son-in-law was not there, then his slave would succeed him. So he extended principles of heredity to army. Soldiers were allowed to rest in peace, and he extended this principle to the heredity also to army, that if a father is serving in the army, his son could also serve in the army, or his son-in-law, or his slave. So he provided job security to soldiers also, so soldiers could now rest in peace, and in their peace and sent their son also. So the soldiers were not paid in cash but by assignments on land revenue of villages. So the soldiers here were not paid by cash but by assignments on land revenue of villages. That was known as vajeha. So whatever the land revenue was collected by the from the villages, soldiers were paid by it, which was known as vajeha. This novel technique of payment led to many abuses, prohibited abuses of the farmers. So and now Firoz Shah Tughlaq also prohibited practice of Muslim women going to worship at graves of saints. So he considered it non-Islamic. So he prevented the Muslim prohibited, not prevented, he prohibited the practice of Muslim women going to worship at graves of saints. As you can see here, it is the last point. He prohibited practice of Muslim women going to worship at graves of saints because he considered it non Islamic. So the two pillars of Ashoka, one from Topra, Haryana, and other from Meerut, Uttar Pradesh, were brought to Delhi. So he brought two Ashokan pillars to Delhi, one from Topra, Haryana, and second one from Meerut, UP. Firoz Shah Tughlaq died in 1388. His rule was marked by peace and tranquility, and the credit for it goes to Prime Minister Khani Jahan Makbal. His Prime Minister was Khani Jahan Makbal, and Firoz Shah Tughlaq rule was, he was a very great ruler, and his rule was marked by peace and tranquility. And the a lot of credit for this goes to the Prime Minister. As you can see here, a lot of credit goes for this goes to the Prime Minister Khan-e-Jahan Makbal, that is his prime minister. He ordered his officials that whenever they attacked a place, they should select handsome and well-known young boys and send them to sultan or slave for training military. Jahani Makbal had ordered his officials that whenever they captured or attacked any place, they had to capture young boys from there and send them to the army for beginning their training to serve the military. And finally, Firoz Shah Tughlaq died in 1388. So after Firoz Shah Tughlaq, there was the ruler was after Firoz Shah Tughlaq. Uh, all the rulers were not able to survive much after Firoz Shah Tughlaq because they were weak rulers. Although the Tughlaq dynasty continued till 1414, but after Firoz Shah Tughlaq, there was no very well known ruler or a very powerful ruler. All the rulers were weak. Malwa, Gujarat, Jaunpur kingdoms broke away from the Sultanate. So Malwa, Gujarat, Jaunpur kingdoms broke away from the Sultanate as the rulers were weak, and there was an invasion in the Tughlaq dynasty in 1398-99, which was by Tamur. Tamur was a Turkish chief and cruel conqueror from Mongolia and descendant of Genghis Khan. So Tamur was a Turkish chief and he was a very cruel conqueror, and he was from Mongolia and he was a descendant of Genghis Khan. As you can see here, Genghis Khan and Timur's invasion, and he a Turkish chief and cruel conqueror from Mongolia and descendant of Genghis Khan. So he invaded India in 1398 during the reign of Muhammad Shah Tughlaq. Muhammad Shah Tughlaq was a ruler who ruled after Firoz Shah Tughlaq. He was the last ruler of Tughlaq dynasty. Taimur's army mercilessly sacked and plundered Delhi. Taimur returned to Central Asia, leaving a nominee Khizr Khan to rule over Punjab. In 1404, he died on his way to China. So uh, as Muhammad Shah Tughlaq was the last ruler of the Tughlaq dynasty, there was an invasion from the Turkish chief Tamur. Tamur's army mercilessly sacked and plundered Delhi, and he left his nominee Khizr Khan to rule over Punjab. And during his return to China, the Tamur died in 1404. So Khizr Khan captured Delhi and was claimed the new Sultan. He was the first ruler of Sayyid dynasty. So Sayyid dynasty starts from here in 1414. Uh, it marked the end of Tughlaq and beginning of Sayyid dynasty. So Sayyid dynasty, Khizr Khan was captured Delhi and was the claimed the new Sultan, and he was the first ruler of Sayyid dynasty. Okay guys, see you in the next video. In the next video we'll learn about the Sayyid dynasty.